The only reason we're in business is because of our customers. So why don't we better serve them? Hence the idea of customer service or servicing customers. If we treat them well and better, and actually not just do that in a defensive or tactical or flat manner, but actually offensively, proactively, not reactively, but proactively, if we can actually harness the power of our customer base and better connect with them and better move them through a new funnel, which I call the flip funnel, not only are they going to keep coming back and buy more and spend more money, but they're actually going to tell other people. They're going to evangelize and become ambassadors on behalf of the brand. And we can actually grow the business from the inside out. We can actually demonstrate how retention as a strategic driver, customer service, customer experience, can become the new acquisition. And by doing that, we grow the business whilst essentially halving or at least decreasing our reliance on paid media, even on earned media, even on owned media. So that's kind of cool. Grow the business whilst actually reducing our marketing budget. And let's just be clear, that marketing budget is reducing while we speak. It's getting cut, and it's getting cut, and it's getting cut. So let this be a preemptive strike, that we are one step ahead of the budgets. So instead of having to react to the cut budget, we can actually stop the rot and stop the cut and stop the bleeding by creating a better mousetrap. To me, that's where my head is at right now.
So we kind of like to ask everybody, you don't know what you don't know. What's that kind of relate back into your world? And I'll bring it to you in a perspective of my world. I didn't know how hard it was going to be to develop this new website, this new technology. You kind of see the end of the rainbow, or you know where you want to be, but you don't know about the stumbling blocks, you don't know about the hoops, you don't know about the hurdles, you don't know about the alligators chasing you down the lane. What is it in your world that you could share with us? You don't know what you don't know. What could you prevent in terms of our pitfalls?
For me, there are a couple of things. The one thing that I didn't know, and now I still don't quite know it, but I know more about it, is that, I was surprised how long change takes to occur. Change always takes longer than we expect. Things that I wrote in my first book, Life After the 30-Second Spot, still have not come to pass. And they will come to pass. And more likely than not, they will be right. But companies are not, I talk about saving the 30-second spot, but all of these ideas are still not being implemented. I actually, ironically, as the angel of death for the grim reaper of the 30-second spot, I lay it out on a silver platter in my book, how to save it. But not one company has emerged, not one technology company to actually produce what I call advertising on demand. Change always takes longer than we think. And I think I've come to terms now, instead of being frustrated by it, because I think a lot of people that probably are watching this, or certainly mid-level managers, they get frustrated by their inability to sell through or by how long it takes to implement anything in an organization. I think you have to not necessarily embrace it, but just accept it. Acceptance is definitely the first step. In terms of where I'm now with Flip the Funnel, what I don't know, and what I would love to find out is to see this flip funnel methodology in action. And I'd like to see how real it is and whether in fact these hypotheses work and how well they work. So to make it very, very simple and tangible, I would like to find out what the cost per acquisition is of a new customer that comes through an old customer. In other words, the cost of a referred customer versus the cost to acquire an unaffiliated, uninitiated stranger through advertising and through communications or acquisition type of advertising. I would love to compare that apple to the other apple and find out, in fact, whether this is, like I believe it can be, a more efficient and a more effective mechanism to grow our business from the inside out.
I love that. I love that because we've been a huge fan of referral programs and incentivizing referral, and we've done it for a long time, and we've had very mixed reaction. One reaction was, you couldn't pay me enough money to refer you if I like you, and you couldn't pay me enough money to refer you if I don't like you. So if I like you, I'm going to refer you anyways, and you don't need to pay me money. And one of the things you touched on was the fact that you don't need to actually pay a currency, but I bring it back to you and I say, look, here's email marketers, email service providers. Let's look at the service providers, the people, the vendors here. How do they go out and incentivize their current clients without giving a monetary give back? So if it's not, we'll give you an extra 50,000 messages a month, or we'll give you a cash incentive, or we'll give you a discount on the next bill, which I think is a pretty good incentive. What would you say is the right incentive in terms of, you know, getting these people to be your evangelists?
Well, I mean, it's so specific, but I think what I'm saying is bigger than just email marketers. I think the point is this, and I said this in the presentation, and I wrote about it in the book. It's reward and recognize. So it's not just about rewarding, and even within, and I'll come back to that in a second, recognize can be status, and it can be acknowledgement, you know, and it can be experiential, and it can, you know, it can be intangible as well. But in the reward category, again, different forms of compensation or incentivization don't have to be cash or dollars off or promotion or chance to win. It can be experiential, it can be communal, it can be equity based, or it can be in terms of getting access to exclusive content. So you take, you know, Exact Target. They have this incredible event that they call Connections. And you know what? If you're a customer or you do a certain level of business with them, I'm sure some people get a comp and other people pay. And of the people that come, I'm sure some people maybe get access to a VIP breakfast or a dinner, or get to meet the keynote speaker afterwards. So there are different ways that you can intangibly give people value that exceeds what the monetary you know, or commensurate price would have been for it. And I think that's just an example, even within the space. You know.
Yeah, I love it. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share with the email marketing community or our audience at large that you haven't shared it yet?
Well, I mean, to the degree that someone in email marketing is watching versus somebody else, I mean, the points that I made today was that you know, email marketing, or email, is basically a marketer's best friend. It's always been there. It is the alpha, and it's probably the omega as well. But it's changing. It's changing pretty radically. And that complacency, or at least the comfort, could lead to complacency. That's the danger if email doesn't innovate quick enough, or quickly in general. So, you know, but again, it's changing. Email could be argued, I mean, it wasn't electronic, but the telegram was somewhat electronic, I guess. You know, I mean, in terms of using a machine
100%.
to kind of, right? And now, you know, I spoke about unified messaging today, and unifying inbound and outbound messaging. And today, you know, consumers will they have a Twitter inbox, they have a Facebook inbox, they have an Outlook inbox, you know, they have an Entourage inbox. So how do we figure out how to kind of integrate all of those inboxes? The other thing I said is that it's time for email to make a comeback, because it is being taken for granted, and it is, you know, the one thing that's there, that's always been there, that's always on. Email can absolutely make an incredible comeback to be a leader. And you know what? To give you a classic example, Wall Street Journal, I'm sure many of you guys know this, came out with an article about the death of email. I'm sure it got sent around to pretty much anybody in the email industry. And then, you know, I was listening to somebody talking about it, and they said, and how did everybody find out about this article? Through email. You know, I think I'll stay in the industry for just a wee bit longer.
The funny part of that is we actually posted no more than 2 weeks after that the Wall Street Journal was looking for an email marketing manager in-house. So it just seemed so ironic that this organization that panned email so much, and maybe purely for shock value, or, you know, to get a rise out of the industry.
You know, sometimes you got to be a provocateur to move the industry forward.
So I've heard. I really thank you for your time and your insight. I'm Jeff Ginsberg with Joseph Jaffe. We're here in Marketing Sherpa in Miami, live today. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Great interview, Jeff.